What's up, everyone? So this is Act 5 of Vanquish on God Hard. This is the heavy machine gun, LFE, and disc launcher run. So I just cut out the first part of this chapter because nothing happens. So I'm just getting straight into the fight here. I used the melee on that golden because I knew this cover was here for this other golden, and I knew it wasn't going to be a big issue. And right there I almost died, but I went right into the disc launcher melee. And again, you can use that when you're overheating, which is a huge perk of it. And I just those enemies are really dangerous, but I just completely shut them down even though I was overheating, which is, out of all the great things about the disc launcher, that's one of my favorite things, is that you can still use its primary unique application while you're overheating. And I get on the turret and I just go for the Romanovs first because honestly I find them more dangerous than the buzzard. There's drill Romanovs and I want to get rid of them as fast as possible. So this one up here, he just keeps firing rockets at you, and the game likes to be clever right here, and it puts these barrels in front of this turret, so you have to knock them out of the way first. So he just keeps shooting you, and so when you're playing on God Hard, you kind of have to anticipate going into danger, and then you have to just get out of the way for a second until you can heal. And eventually the buzzard's going to drop down to the same level where you're at. And then I typically like to leave here and then take care of him. So I'm going to throw the cigarette so that I can leave this room safely and kind of flank him and then take care of some of these other enemies. So he's got such little health left, I'm basically just chipping him down at this point. Threw a grenade to get rid of the RI near him, and now I'm just going to chip him down. And then there's more enemies around the corner, but I'm just going to throw more grenades. Right there, I shot him in the leg, and he fell down on one knee, and I could hit him in his weak point, which is super helpful. And then there's another drill Romanov, and he's going to charge me. It's really important to have meter when you're dealing with drill Romanov because they can charge you. They can also do that thing where they go underground, which is really, really dangerous. So, because when they go underground, they're invincible. Especially when they're actually going underground, when they're initiating it, they're invincible. Luckily, it has a pretty good tail and a good startup, so you have time to get away or do whatever. And right here, I'm going to delimb him, and then I'm going to push him into the corner. That way I did that to get him away from other enemies, but there's no other enemies alive right now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Although something's shooting at me, and I don't know what it is, but either way, that's a fun thing to do with the Romanovs, is to take off their legs and then push them away, because if you just regularly push them out of the way with the LFE, which is still really useful, they can obviously get back up and move towards you, especially the drill ones, which can move quickly. But if you cut off their leg first, you can just push them behind cover or somewhere that you don't have to worry about them if you were in the middle of a fight, which I really wasn't. The fight was over, but it's a nice option anyway. And here, these guys are great for the EMPs because it just instantly kills them. They just fall down and die, but I don't have any. So I didn't know what to do here, and then I remembered that the disc launcher kills them instantly. So that's kind of cool. I kind of wish those enemies were in the game more. They're only in, if I remember right, maybe 4 or 5 fights, which is not very much. It's one of my only real things I would like to see in a sequel to this game is utilizing more of the enemy types more often. The game has a lot of great enemies, but some of them just don't see much use, those guys. And then the harder enemies, the Crystal Viper, there's only 2 of them in the whole game. So I wish we didn't only get to see more of these enemies in the challenges, but we got to see them more in the main missions. So here, I don't know what I was doing. I think I usually have the sniper rifle or something like that at this part, or the rocket launcher, but I didn't, so I had just burned a cigarette, distracted everyone, cut myself a path, and got out of the way. And luckily, with this guy, he is hitting the top of the wall there with his rockets, so he's not even hitting me, so he's really not a threat at all. And again, had I known about the disc launcher's decap properties when I did this run, I could have just cut his head off and just dashed away, because once they're decapped, they're really not a threat. But Oh well, I'll know for next time. Which, I already had a next time. I've already played this like 3 or 4 times through since I've done this run, but whatever. And I got a trophy there, so that was cool. I kind of want to platinum this game on the PS4. I did it on the PS3, but a lot of trophies, like shooting the statues, I'm just like, I don't care to do that again. I know it's easy. You just bring up a guide like on my phone and just like play along with it, but I just don't care enough. So me dying got my ammo back, so I'm going to make full use of the LFE against this guy. I find that these enemies are a little bit easier to fight when they're on 2 legs, just because when they're on 4 legs they move so quickly, but their attacks are a lot less predictable when they're on 2 legs, because when they're on their 4s, they basically only attack with their tail most of the time, which is usually just kind of like a dash backwards or boost dash. I can't even talk. Boost backwards and dash away. But when they're standing up, they can do several different attacks. And the one where they like shoot out those little like pellets, those like little purple things that also shoot you, for some reason that attack always trips me up. So when they're on 2 legs, I like to just expend the resources that just kind of completely keep them stun locked, because I hate dealing with them so much. And here's this turret part that I forgot to plant this charge, so I have to come back here and do that before I can get on the turret. But this turret section's easy. I mean, all the turret sections are easy, really. I think I talked earlier about how like turret sections in games annoy me so much. Most of the time I find that they're way too hard compared to the rest of the game. That's a huge pet peeve I have of games in general, is when they have these like stretches of game that aren't core gameplay, and yet they end up being like harder than the main game. So, like for example, in the Wonderful 101, you're always doing these like shmup sections, or these like you do like punch out sections, and I legitimately find them more aggravating than the main game. And they're ranked, and they come up often. So honestly, it's not a pet peeve. I just find it to be an actual flaw. But here, luckily, the turret sections are pretty painless. I could live without them, but they don't really bother me. I think that the 1 and 2 is actually pretty good, because the enemies can actually land on the ship, and if you like, kind of seamlessly goes in and out of needing the turret and not needing the turret and not using the turret at all. I think that's a lot better than levels in games where you're basically just stuck to the turret. I just think that's boring. But anyway, I don't really have a great gun here for dealing with these enemies at range, which was like the biggest thing with this run, is that I can't deal with much at range. So not a whole lot of like turtling really hard. I mean, there's a degree of it, because the LFE is a pretty defensive gun, but nothing to where I can stand back and snipe, really. So then here's the second and final Crystal Viper in the whole game. He's pretty easy when there's no other enemies. I mean, he's got a pretty expansive moveset, but as long as you know how to deal with his, like the parry, so like the quick time event attack he does, he's really not bad. Plus you can stagger him and do a ton of damage. And then even like when he teleports, basically if you just dash left to right and dodge, he's really not going to do much to you for the most part. So he's pretty easy. He's an interesting enemy, definitely. I just don't know if putting him alone was really a good idea. Plus, he gets distracted by your teammates constantly, so it makes him even easier. Like when this part comes up, like he has a health bar and everything, or like his name in the health bar at the top of the screen, like he's a boss, but I don't know if I'd really consider this a boss. Like, I'd consider the Argus and obviously the Bogeys a boss, but he's just he's a bit of a pushover. So right there, if you shoot him enough while he's staggered, he completely falls over. Plus he's grenades and EMPs also completely destroy him. And right there, I just completely interrupted his attack. That attack is one of the like more deadly ones he has, and I just completely interrupted it with the LFE. So that is pretty easy. So then coming up is 5-2, which is going to be the fight with Burns. which when I'm playing through the game, the whole time I just think about how 5-3 is going to be awful, and I don't want to die a million times to the Bogeys, but I died to Burns just as much as I died to the Bogeys, if not more. Just because I couldn't figure out like a good way to just to like keep him away from me when when I got to the final form of the fight, but you'll see how that goes. I always do this part really defensively, just like pick off his soldiers and then kind of just like pick him off from range too. He has a ton of health, like his health bar just goes down so slow. And it's different if you're using something like the shotgun or the rocket launcher, but even then he has noticeably so much more health than the other enemies. At least from what I can tell. I mean, you can completely obliterate the Argus with like one LFE shot, and the Crystal Viper I killed in no time. But this just takes forever. And here I'm trying to use the disc launcher, but I'm hitting the wall, so that's really helpful. So I just wait for him to come back to me, and then use the LFE, gives him a little bit of stun, and then he's going to stand there and then he's going to reset. He's going to walk backwards. And he has that shield, which covers up pretty much his whole body. I think the disc launcher might penetrate it. I don't know for sure. I guess we'll see if I try to use it, but as you can see, I'm basically just playing super lame. And this isn't, not gonna lie, this isn't interesting even for me to watch, so. But just using the LFE on these guys, even though I really shouldn't be using the ammo, because it's more important for burns. But I have to just be careful with these guys. And they like to throw out that grenade cluster, which is super annoying. Usually when I go into ARS and when I try to shoot it down, I don't get all of it, but usually as long as you get most of it, it won't hurt you. If it does hurt you, it's not enough to send you into danger, so it's not really an issue. And every time Burns comes back up to me, it's like super aggravating because you don't know if he's going to actually come up to you, what attack he's going to use, if you're going to be able to stop him. And I'm also running out of ammo. I try to go back to grab more ammo, but the door closes once you get to, there's little checkpoints throughout this phase of the fight, and I apparently went too far in and now the door's closed, so I don't have any ammo. So now I have to use the LFE. And right here he gets right next to me, and he was going to shoot me with his hit scan weapon while he was next to me, so I had to get back out so that he wouldn't kill me on his way away from me, if that makes any sense. So since I have no ammo, I have to just basically use whatever I have, which is the disc launcher, which is, I don't think works very well. I don't think you can decapitate the regular soldiers, but it at least works for just doing normal damage to them. And it does. Oh, he dodged that one, it looks like, but so they dodge into it, but it still hits them. I don't know. It's pretty weak to just hit them normally with it, but I gotta refill the disc launcher there, so again, it's better than nothing. And since I have the ammo, I'm just gonna finish this out with some disc launcher shots at Burns after I get rid of this guy here. You know, it's kind of weird how all these soldiers are attacking me. They didn't ever attack the enemies. They shot at them but didn't do any damage, so I don't know what happened between last chapter and this one. But anyway, this part, as far as I know, you don't actually have to do any damage to Burns. This part's just on a timer, and I really don't. I'm just being defensive here, and I'm also speeding this part up because it's pretty uninteresting and nothing really happens. I was trying to throw a grenade just to see if I could land it on his ship, and I don't think you can. So I'm just kind of messing around here. I don't think the LFE would hit him since the LFE is a projectile weapon, and obviously that's moving too fast, and I had no machine gun ammo, so I just figured I just wait for it to pass. So we're at the next section where it's landed, and obviously I died, so I got my ammo back. So I'm using the disc launcher just to burn through its ammo first, and that way I can save the LFE and the heavy machine gun for the next hallway. And there's that grenade or rocket cluster, and somehow it didn't kill me. I was already in danger, and I really didn't destroy any of them and somehow didn't kill me. I basically just got lucky right there. Just looking for ammo here. I would love to pick up that rocket launcher, let me tell you, because I pretty much pick up the rocket launcher almost every time I see it when I'm playing normally. And the next room, there's like 4 enemies that just kind of cluster together, so I'd love to just shoot them, like shoot the ground near all of them and kill them all, but can't do that here. So there's a couple ways you can do this part. You can, well, first of all, you have to deal with Burns, who's just standing in the middle of the room. I'm just kind of picking at him with the disc launcher, just so I can save my ammo. And as you can see, it's just very barely chipping down his health, like to the point where if I wasn't doing this run, I would not even consider using that weapon on him. And even there, I'm getting headshots on him with the heavy machine gun, and it's barely doing any damage. So he's just a complete tank. He just has a ton of health. So you can either like go in and drop a grenade, which is what I just did, or you can like go in and back out and then throw a grenade, or you can go in and back out and shoot a rocket, or you can drop an EMP and then use a rocket. You can do all kinds of stuff. What's weird is that as much as I've played this, I actually don't know if cigarettes do anything to these guys. I'm going to assume it doesn't, since obviously why would they be distracted by a cigarette? But yeah, I don't know. I've never tried it. I would assume nothing happens when you do it, but it would just be curious. I'd be curious to see what happens. And obviously I died, because I died here a lot, so... Okay, so I start this part by throwing 3 grenades kind of like in one corner, in the middle, and then in the other corner. Because I tried so many methods here, and I couldn't find any way to really deal with the soldiers consistently, and that's about the only way, was just throwing the grenade, or throwing the grenades. And it wasn't even consistent. Like, that only works maybe half the time for me. Half the time I'd only kill maybe 1 or 2 soldiers, and then they'd basically rush me, and I'd have to deal with Burns's, either his grenade clusters or that attack where he like shoots out his hand. So I had to hope for that to work, and then I had to hope for the rest of the fight to go well. Luckily I got most of the soldiers, and now it's just a standoff with Burns. I'm actually going to speed this part up too, because it's basically just me doing the same thing over and over again. I'm going to shoot him with the heavy machine gun. When he gets close to me, I'm going to hit him with the LFE, and then that like stuns him, and then he resets, and he backs away from me. So I'm just going to keep repeating that over and over again. I usually like to use, again, the rocket launcher, boost machine gun, the shotgun on him. I like to do like EMPs into like some shotgun blast and then into a rocket. That does like pretty big damage on him, but here I'm just honestly just playing really lame. Just heavy machine gun and then LFE when he gets close. I tried to hit the grenade with the LFE, completely missed. The disc launcher apparently does cut through the shield, I think, from what I could just tell. That's about the only good thing about it. Yeah, it does. It's pretty much the only good thing about it in this fight, I think. Other than that, I mean, I could pretty much replace it with any other weapon. I don't think that I would really miss it. So here I'm going to start speeding this up, just because it's already getting repetitive, and I still have a couple more minutes of fighting him to go through. What really sucks when you're doing runs like this is when you run out of ammo. So if I was doing like, I don't know, if I was doing like really weird weapons and I ran out of ammo, I really don't know what I would do, because trying to melee him is extremely dangerous, because he can actually block it. He can also counter you pretty easily, so that's why I typically don't even go for it. So I saved my EMPs because I knew that I would need them specifically for getting out of my safe space there to grab ammo, and that's what I used it for. So luckily I have fully stocked heavy machine gun ammo, so I'm just kind of chipping him away. And then at this point I was just getting sick of fighting him, so I just burned the last 2 EMPs just to open him up for the heavy machine gun fire. So that's that, and this is 5-3, the ultimate fight. In my opinion, probably the best boss fight in the entire genre. So there's 2 Bogeys. They both have different attacks. They both behave slightly differently from what I can tell. The environment does change. There's like a voice that's like, I don't know, it says right there, setting chamber connectors to default positions, and it's going to change the cover and the layout of the environment. So you have to constantly be moving. I mean, you should be anyway, but it really makes you move more. And that big laser beam he does, it actually doesn't go through cover. So as long as you're behind cover, that's not going to hit you. Also, he has like a startup to it where he says, take your best shot. If you do enough damage to him before he activates the laser, you can actually stun him and he'll fall to the ground. You can also do it afterwards because he has a recovery period. And then right there, I don't remember what they say, but they go for melee. Again, they have a huge startup on it. And I don't know if there's a way to tell the difference, but they'll either do one attack or they'll do like a 3-hit combo. Either way, they have pretty large recovery on it. And that's usually when I go for like a melee. So I'll do like a melee, and then as soon as the melee is done, I'll throw an EMP just to give myself some extra safety. This fight's really fun with the shotgun to really go into like a rotation of like shotgun and EMP and melee. But so those little purple things they shoot out, when he says aim carefully, that overheats you. You have to constantly be watching out for that. If you overheat in this fight with no EMPs and no LFE, I mean, it's rough. You got to really be in a good position to survive. And not only that, this fight is, I don't want to say this fight's partially luck, but RNG does factor into this fight a little bit, because if these two like do attacks at the same time that are really deadly depending on your position, there's really not a whole lot you can do. But usually, as long as you have EMP, if you have LFE, if you have whatever, if you still have meter, you can pretty much get away with anything in this fight. Right here, I honestly get really lucky. I don't know how I dodged that shot right there, but I did somehow. And luckily, he keeps using that like big laser attack. That's honestly, I think, the easiest thing of his to get around, which is weird because I believe it kills you in one hit. But it's got such a big startup, such a big tell, and you can punish it so well that I actually prefer when he does that. And the LFE knocks them around just like it does with any other enemy in the game. So even though it's the final boss, same properties apply. So you really important weapon for this fight. And the hard part of the fight is already over, so I feel like I really didn't get to say a whole lot there, but that's okay. So that's the part where you have to fight both of them, and then you kind of get powered up, you get more meter, and meleeing doesn't overheat you to fight this guy. The second one will get an increase in speed. Like he's moving so fast, it's like you can barely even track what he's doing. But you have more meter, the meter recovers faster, and the melees don't overheat you. So really what I do here is honestly I just try and stun him with EMPs and then just keep meleeing him, because trying to shoot him with most of the weapons is just really hard. I'd use the rocket launcher, but obviously I can't. So EMP, and then I'm going to go in for some melees, but you also move faster, so it makes gauging the melee kind of hard. Like you tend to overshoot it or go the wrong way or something. It's really bizarre. But it's nice that you can melee, go for the backflip off the enemy and shoot and then not overheat, so you can get like extra damage and then go in for another melee anyway. And it's nice when he goes for the melee, because that's like the one time you can accurately track where he's going to go. Instead of him going side to side in all these weird directions, you know he's coming towards you. It makes it easier for you to line up a shot with something like the LFE. So I think this is going to kill him right here. Yep. And then the game ends on, I think, one of the coolest quick time event things ever. I don't hate quick time events as much as most people, but I hate when they're super overdone or used as a used in ways where it's like I could have just played that. But this part's just awesome, and it's pretty satisfying after such a hard fight. But yeah, that fight is, in my opinion, that's one of the best fights ever. There's a lot to learn about the fight. They have a lot of attacks. There's 2 of them, so there's a lot to keep track of. The environment changes. The different weapons all are viable, but all do different things against them. They play by the game's rules. It's extremely hard. I don't know, everything about it. To me, it's pretty much the perfect final boss, in my opinion. And here's my results screen for 5-3. I only had 5 deaths somehow. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if that was only that session or if it was just that was total. I don't remember if that was a file where I quit out or not. I think that was one where it was only 5 deaths. It was very fast how quick I beat them. But here you can see 241 deaths overall. So, and 59% cover usage, so that's a lot of cover. But that's the run. Hope you enjoyed it. That run is seriously a lot of fun. All these like weapon combination runs are really fun in this game, and I'm going to do more. But for my next game, I'm going to be playing Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Probably won't be doing a challenge run, but I'll just be doing commentary to talk about the game mechanics. Alright, that's that. See you guys next time.